Hi, hello, hi, hey kids, how are you doing today? It's me, your little storytelling goblin. Are you having a good start to your week? I sure am. I've moved into my new home. I'm so excited to be here. I've set up my office, and now I'm gonna tell you a little bit of a story. Are you ready for a story? I sure am. Let's talk about GoodReads, shall we? Okay, before we get too deep into this, I do want to say my anger is not towards the GoodReads librarians. You guys are essentially doing the best you can to make this system work with one arm tied behind your back and you're not compensated. This is an issue with the management of GoodReads. And yeah, someone did something I wasn't necessarily a fan of, but I get why they did it, and I'm not mad at you all. You guys are genuinely saints, and GoodReads would not be functional at all without you. I'm just baffled that there are still not these basic changes in place that would solve most of the problems. The volunteers making GoodReads work in the capacity they are, you're saints. I genuinely love you. But it's everything else behind that just makes me marvel at the fact that people are actually able to make GoodReads work as well as it even does. So, if you're familiar with the channel, you know I have a long, complicated history with the book review website owned by Amazon known as GoodReads. And surprisingly, apparently, I'm the 41 most followed person on the platform. That's, honestly, I'm kind of honored. Thank you for that. And you'd think, being in the top 50 GoodReads people followed, they would pay attention to my profile and care about what's going on. But today's story time's gonna get into just how little GoodReads does really care. Oh my god! And I know already immediately, before I even get into this, there's going to be people who are saying Daniel's only mad at GoodReads because his book... First of all, I'm thrilled that my book is rated at what it is, and you can feel free to rate it 1 star. I thought the reception of the book is far better than I ever could have expected for a debut. This is specifically about how GoodReads treats not only its users, but authors. And since I started complaining about this, a lot of self-published authors have come forward and added onto the pile of GoodReads complaints. I want to get into those, but first, let's just start the narrative. So a few days ago, or a couple weeks, I can't exactly remember, I put out this tweet. I, your little disheveled goblin, moseyed onto the bathroom, pulled down my little pants, and started making some twosies. And while I was doing so, I realized, hey, I have a minute here. I'm gonna update my audience on the next book right now in my Lawful Time series. I had an idea where I was like, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and do a next little update for what's going on. And I tweeted out not only a possible title, made it very clear it was a possible title, but a brief description of what the actual thematic focus would be. Didn't think much more of it, flushed away the day's business, and moved on. Fast forward to this last weekend. I'm moving into my new house. I'm busy. I get a little texty text from a friend who I'm just kind of like acquaintances with. We're not super tight. And they are congratulating me on the success of book 2. What do you mean? Draft 1's barely kinda done. This friend, in response to my questioning there, saying my book 2 is out, sends me a GoodReads link that has book 2 up with that possible title and just the text from my tweet put in as the synopsis. And I want to go ahead and quickly say, whoever did that, one of the volunteer librarians, I understand why you did it. No hard feelings towards you whatsoever. You're fine. My problem is with GoodReads in handling this, because obviously I did not want some like grammar not well done, poorly written tweet I made while I was on the toilet to be the public synopsis of a book I'm not even sure is anywhere near its final state yet on the largest book review platform in the world. Dramatic stare off. Think about it this way. If this policy remains in effect, this can be a self-published author who just casually tweets something out without thinking's first impression of like a many years long project to an audience audience they do not mean it to. For someone like myself who has a large platform who can get people's attention like this and make a big stink, it's not that big a deal. But for self-pub guys who do not necessarily have that advantage, it can seriously hurt commercial possible sales in the future for making a bad impression. Additional verification must be put in place. And I know what you're thinking. Well, okay, what if they don't know how to get in touch with the author? Then that's a problem. Well, then you just simply, I have a claimed profile. A lot of authors, especially self-pub, have claimed profiles. All you'll have to do is send an email to these claimed profiles and say, hey, you have 72 hours to verify if this is what you want or not on your profile. And if you don't, it'll be added. If that was the simple step put in place, this entire issue could be avoided. The software to do that is so easy to write. I could do it drunk in an afternoon. I know that for sure because I actually wrote similar things for the companies I used to work at. It was very easy to put in place. This also will encourage authors to actually verify their profiles as well, because GoodReads can pull the card, hey, you don't have a claimed author verified profile, so we can't actually double check this stuff, encouraging authors to engage with your platform. But you're not going to do that. Well, okay, what about the big guys in the publishing? They necessarily can't all get involved with GoodReads. They're too big to care. Well, just get in touch with the publishing houses and send them the verification emails. I'm sure they'll be responsive because they care about the representation of their authors' books on platforms like these. It's not that hard. Again, the issue taken in this video is not with the librarians who are doing their best with a broken system. It's with the system itself, which has shown no improvement for year after year after year. And this new beta rollout is already getting blasted by people as solving the issues that didn't necessarily need to be solved at the forefront. What the hell is happening? So I go on GoodReads and I'm like, how could this happen? I have a claimed author profile. I have a claimed author profile. You'd think before they added something to my profile, I'd at least get an email. Hey, do you want this? Is this cool? Did you plan for this to be what the public sees for book 2 of your book forever on this platform? No, it was a poo tweet? Okay, we won't put it up then. But no, I don't get a verification email before publicly available to everyone is this synopsis. And I know what you're thinking. Okay, that kind of sucks. It's not that bad. Just remove it. I can't. I did twice by basically going into my settings, going to my author profile and being like, that's not my book. But then it requires me to try and assign it to another author. So I was like, okay, off. And I assigned it to the author off because off. Sorry for the swearing. And I also started tweeting about this at GoodReads, as well as doing some joking, here's a made up book called GoodReads is responsible for every world tragedy due out 4/26/66 and stuff. That's as much frickin' credibility needed for this last post. Put that one on my profile, shall we? And GoodReads finally responded, not to my actual complaint tweet, but to a random response where I actually wasn't criticizing them. I was just responding to another content creator, because it's almost like they didn't want their followers seeing them responding to a complaint, so they just found a random response tweet that wasn't me directly criticizing them, trying to hide what's going on to their followers. Yeah, I see what you're doing there. Just own up to your mistakes. But anyway, they leave me a link, say follow this. It's a dead link. They literally have someone in charge of their social media who, you're probably overworked. I'm not blaming the social media guy, probably not your fault. But to give me a link to fix the problem, they just gave me a dead link. I still have no idea what they were attempting to give me there. I don't know. It was just a link that I clicked on it and it had one their broken link things with a quote from a guy being like, oh, deep philosophical thought. Also, this page is broken. Sorry. I go back to my profile and the book for some reason has been re-added. So this time I assign it to pee pee poo poo, go away. This is not my book. And it gets re-added again. Basically, I keep taking away the book that doesn't actually exist from my profile and it keeps being put back. All right. But then GoodReads responds to me saying hey, you gave me a broken link by going, email us. No, I don't think I will. Why do I believe you'll actually do anything at this point? Because you've not had the system in place for me to actually control my own claimed public author profile. Why the should I bother even claiming an author profile, which you kind of make us do because we, God, have to have some form of control over the largest book review platform on the planet, owned by freaking Amazon, that's shown no form of improvement for better part of 5, 6, 7+ years. But you don't even allow us to do what we want to do once we do. I made that tweet while I was pooping. Good God. So at this point, while I'm trying to handle everything going on, I start getting DMs from a lot of self-pub authors who I talk to about their complaints with GoodReads and how GoodReads have actually negatively affected their sales or misattributed books to them or failed to allow them to properly update the editions, titles, covers of their books because these things are not in authors' control. And here's the thing about GoodReads' system. I don't know if you know how it works. Essentially, there are volunteers who don't get paid who work for GoodReads to try and keep the information up to date. And again, I do not have any problem with the person who took this information from my profile and went ahead and threw it on there. I get it. You're just trying to keep everything up to date. Don't do that for tweets in the future, especially tweets in the future, please. But why in the world would you not let authors control their own bibliographies? I've claimed the profile. You know it's me. I went through verification. This is Daniel Green. That's Daniel Green's profile. Let me just flat out say this book does not exist and not try to assign it to somebody else. So like there's an author off now who just has my maybe titled book under their name whenever I have to go back and reassign it to them because this book is being put back on my profile even though it's not a real book that doesn't even exist yet. And 2, even worse, why would you not send an author an email before adding something to their profile who has claimed their profile? Hey, would you like this to be added? Like, it would be super easy. That is not a ticket that would take a team a week. That is a level of security verification, 1, that should have been in place before this website even went live, to be honest. And 2, is very easy to develop. And that's kind of going to go ahead and spill into the larger problem with GoodReads here. If you've been following the channel, you know I've made a few videos criticizing various bugs and just missing features within GoodReads. None of those have been fixed in the years since I originally made those complaints. This is not some indie dev company. They are owned by Amazon, and they are actively having problems in the site that affect the most vulnerable within the writing community, the self-pub authors. Frequently. They also still don't allow basic features that users want, like rating half stars or, preventing people from rating and reviewing books where arcs even haven't been sent out yet. You are the biggest reviewing platform for books in the world, and you lack fundamental features or verification steps that so much of the people who are working so hard to replace you in reviewing space already have when they are indie companies. I've worked with them. They've been sponsors of the channel, and they have features you lack when they have been in existence for a shorter amount of time than my original complaint videos. That is embarrassing. Now, I do not entirely mean for the blame to be put on just like GoodReads development team. This does not feel like a their issue problem. This feels like something going horribly wrong in management, whether it's at the GoodReads level or the Amazon level. I don't know the relationship there. I don't know what problems are existing. I have no peek in behind the door. I really don't. So I can't comment on that. I, as a user, and the top 50 most followed people on this freaking platform, can only respond to the absolute failures at the user end, which before I only got to complain about the reviewer angle. Now, I get to complain about the author angle, and it's even worse, substantially so, than I thought. That's embarrassing. And of course, I'd like to record a special shout out to my latest high tier Patreon, Danny Sikovich.